Order for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the month of September. If you'll please stand. I just want to make known to everybody that this afternoon we found out that Mrs. Roger Williams, Elizabeth Williams, had a stroke and is on life support. She's the wife of a longtime principal of Apopka High School, so we want to remember her and that family as we begin our meeting tonight. So let's just go to the Lord in prayer and ask for that. Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us, Lord. We just ask that you be right now with the Williams family, and Lord, be with Mrs. Williams. Lord, just give her comfort and peace at this time. Lord, we just know that it's a time of difficulty for the family, and we just lift them up to you. Lord, we just thank you for this great city that you've given us, and he was a part of that. And Lord, we just thank you for that. Be with us as we conduct the business of the city tonight. We just ask that you be among us here. In your name we pray. Amen. Please join me in a pledge to the flag of the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. On the table over there where the people are standing, there's a notice of intent to speak card. If you are intending to speak to any of the items on the agenda, we would ask that you kindly fill that out. Yes, ma'am, I'll take that. And turn it into us, and so we can get you on the agenda at the appropriate time. Thank you. All right, the first item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes of our August 12th meeting. If there are no corrections or additions to those minutes, I would entertain a motion that we approve them as they are printed.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. The first item of business on the agenda for public hearing is a change of zoning at 2277 Lakeville Road.
Good evening, Chairman and Planning Commission. I'm David Moon, Planning Manager with the Community Development Department. The case before you is called the Alan Akbar rezoning. It's a request from the property owner, Alan Akbar, to change the zoning on his property located on Lakeville Road from R1A residential to AE Agricultural Estates. The property is located immediately south of Lakeville Elementary School on the the east side of Lakeville Road. The property owner currently has horses, goats, and other domestic animals on the property, and has had them on the property for a significant number of years. The current zoning, R1A, doesn't allow the use of the animals on the property. At some point in the future, if he sells the property, he would like the rights of that legal non-conforming activity to remain with the property. Thus, he's requested a downzoning, a reduction in the density of the property to agricultural estates. The Development Review Committee has reviewed this application for 9.86 acres and recommends the request to change the zoning of this property from R1A to AGE Agricultural Estates. With that, I'll address any questions that the Planning commission may have.
All right, does the commission have any questions of David or staff? All right, I'm going to open it up for public hearing. Anybody in the audience want to speak to this issue for or against, or just information? All right, we'll close the public hearing and see what the pleasure of the commission is for recommendations to the city council. Is there a motion we recommend approval of the change of zoning from R1A to Ag Estate, AGE, for the parcel owned by Alan Akbar? There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries as well. If the people in the audience will indulge me, we're going to skip to item number 3, so they don't have to sit here through this whole discussion process. So that's a variance for Jacinia Rios at 18 West Oak Street.
Planning Commission, this next case is a request from a property owner who owns a lot on 18 West Oak Street, currently zoned R1AA. It's property that is placed within an antiquated plat, meaning the property was platted many, many years ago before our current land development code and zoning conditions were in place. The request is for a variance related to the lot width. The zoning category, R1AA, requires a minimum lot width of 95 feet. The width of the current lot is 88 feet. Thus, there's a request for a 7-foot variance. The lot size, however, because of the depth of the property, is much larger than what the minimum requirement is for the zoning district. The minimum requirement is 12,500 square feet. The proposed lot size, or the existing lot size, is 15,907 square feet. The general character of the area varies in terms of the lot width and lot size based on the plat that was put in place years ago. Some lots are as narrow as 50 feet, some are 86 feet wide, some are 100 feet wide. Some of the properties, as we'll see in the area, within the area, have been combined, and there is a house placed on 2 lots. But based on the general character of the area and the hardship that the property owner can't acquire lands to the east or west without causing a variance for those properties, they have demonstrated to Development Review Committee that a hardship does exist. Thus, the Development Review Committee finds that the hardship is warranted and supports the applicant's request for the variance to allow for the 88-foot wide lot. There was a previous home that was on this lot, and the property owner wants to replace that home and construct a brand new home. With that, I'll address any questions that the Planning Commission may have. In the case of a variance, the Planning Commission has the authority to make final decision. So your action would be to approve, deny, or approve with conditions.
So this is really just a cleanup issue because it's not a new plat or a replat. It's just existing property that needs a variance to build.
Correct.
Okay.
And typically what happens if a homeowner has a variance situation on a property, a legal non-conforming situation,
right,
and they sell their property, or if they construct the home and then they sell it to someone else and it's not recognized, it can interfere with the sale of the property until the government recognizes the variance.
Got it. All right, does anybody else in the commission have a question of David or staff? Anybody, any audience want to speak? to this issue? All right, we'll close the public hearing, and again, as David said, this is ours to decide, and we don't recommend this to City Council, so is there a motion that we approve the variance from 95 to 88 feet for the property at 18 West Oak Street?
So moved.
Motion by Mallory, second by, did you say it, Melvin? All right. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries as well. All right, back to item number 2, change of zoning master plan and preliminary development plan for Florida Land Trust on Sandpiper. And again, if you wish to speak to that item, if you'll turn in a notice of intent to speak card so we can get you on the agenda. All right, David.
Well, we're to the main event for the evening. The application before you is a request to assign a city planned unit development to a parcel located on the south side of Sandpiper Road, east of Usler, and west of Thompson Road. This property several years ago was unincorporated and under the control of the Orange County Board of County Commissioners, which approved a planned unit development with a maximum of 49 dwelling units. The applicant, Florida Land Trust, is requesting 49 residential units on 48.4 developable acres. The total site comprises 58.23 acres. The additional property represents wetlands. Within your package, as part of the PUD zoning request, is a master site plan. The master site plan presents the proposed layout of the development, and as a planned unit development, it can establish unique and specific design standards for the property based on the characteristics that are unique to that site. In the case of this project, there are approximately 15 acres east of Usler that the developer is proposing to preserve and leave as open space or recreation lands in the future. Within the development, there is one entrance off the south side of Sandpiper. There is existing residential to the south and to the east. On the other side of Usler is residential development as well, and there are large lot residential developments to the north, so the property is surrounded by a residential area. Within the 49 lots, they vary in lot size, typically from between 80 and 110 feet wide. The lot sizes are typically between 12,800 to 26,000 square feet, and that is developable lot. There are 8 lakefront lots which extend into wetland areas. They're along north side of Lake McCoy. Their lot lines extend into the lake and across wetlands. However, those areas are not included in the lot size. The minimum lot size for the development is 10,000 square feet, but the applicant is proposing from 12,800 to 26,000 square feet. The minimum lot width that is allowed is 75 feet, but the majority of the lot widths range from 80 feet to 110. The minimum living area that is allowed is a 2,000 square foot home that will not exceed 2,000 square feet. For the benefit of the Planning Commission, it's recognized that it's difficult to reach the development conditions within the development project, as you see here. So they are presented within Exhibit F of your package. When you make a motion to approve or to recommend to approve or deny, or recommend to approve with conditions, you'll want to refer to Exhibit F if you're making changes to design standards. In terms of the buffer, and that appears to be an important issue in the surrounding community, along the south side of the community, the lots have a 30-foot conservation easement placed along that south property line. Conditions within Exhibit F limit the use of that area, that 30-foot conservation buffer, to preservation of the existing trees and landscaping. The intent is to preserve that area as natural vegetation. The lot owners, as set forth within the proposed development conditions, cannot install a fence, swimming pool, or any other accessory structure within that 30-foot buffer. It's to remain natural. It's still under the ownership of the lot owner. The easement is assigned to the HOA, so the HOA, Homeowners Association, becomes the enforcement authority. On the west side of the property, in terms of buffers, the open space area is approximately 600 or more feet from Usler Road, so that's not an issue, and there's no lots that are proposed on Usler or on Sandpiper in this section of the proposed project. Along Sandpiper Road, the applicant proposes a 10-foot landscape buffer with no masonry wall. The typical residential subdivision, based on the adopted land development code, requires a 10-foot landscape buffer with a 6-foot masonry wall. That condition is highlighted, or that situation is highlighted in your packet under number E3 on page 3. The first language that is listed is the applicant's proposal. Staff's recommendation is underscored in the language beneath it, the paragraph beneath it, where it states staff recommendation. Staff's recommendation is that from the easternmost lot to the entrance, that the 10-foot landscape easement must include a 10-foot masonry wall along the southern, that will be closer to the lot.
6-foot masonry wall.
A 6-foot masonry wall. Did I say 10 feet?
Yeah.
It's a 10-foot buffer with a 6-foot masonry wall. It'll be located at the southern edge of that 10-foot landscape easement. Then, west of the entrance road, to the westernmost lot, a post and wrought iron style fence would be located within that 10-foot buffer tract, and it's a tract, not an easement, on both sides, so it'll be owned and maintained by the Homeowners Association. The applicant proposes no fence along the south side of Sandpiper Road, west of the entrance road. The reason staff took the position, made the recommendation to follow current code, is that not only that other similar residential subdivisions have installed similar type of buffers, is that without such a wall, with the rear yard setback of 20 feet and accessory setback of 10 feet, the screen fence screen room for a swimming pool could be located 20 feet from the roadway. The traveler on the roadway could see a row of swimming pools and screen fences along, screen rooms along the roadway. However, beyond that western point, where the wrought iron style fence ends, there is no fence because it enters into the open space area all the way to Usler Road, and the applicant's not proposing to eliminate or remove any of that existing vegetation through to Usler Road. The other development condition that I will address is the sidewalk. The applicant has requested not to include a sidewalk along the south side of Sandpiper Road. There's an existing sidewalk on the north side that extends all the way to Park Avenue, Rock Springs Road. On the south side of Sandpiper, there is no sidewalk for most of the south side of that road over to Rock Springs Road. However, there is a path along Usler that follows another city road over to Rock Springs Road. However, this proposed subdivision is located within 2 miles of Apopka Middle School and Dream Lake Elementary. So any school-age children reside in this community that attend Orange County Public Schools will likely walk to school. So it was the position of the Development Review Committee that a sidewalk should be installed. So to conclude my presentation, the recommendation from DRC is to approve the PUD zoning subject to the staff report and the conditions within Exhibit F, and subject to the applicant obtaining the school capacity enhancement determination from OCPS. As part of that recommendation, if you follow that recommendation, then the sidewalk will be included, and the wall as proposed by staff will be placed along Sandpiper Road. The Planning Commission does not agree with the fence or the sidewalk, then you need to recognize that in your motion or to take a separate motion on those items. I'll address any questions that the Planning Commission may have.
All right, does the commission have any questions of David or staff? No questions? All right, get to the public hearing. Is a representative of this development here and desires to speak or not? Nope. Yes, then you need to come up and give us your name and address and make a presentation.
Hi, my name is Alan Goldberg, and I'm the representative of Florida Land Trust 111. I've been working on this project since we purchased it a couple of years ago, and we've had a couple of community meetings since then to go over specific issues that the community has. And I'd like to put up a slide or just give it out to each commissioner, if possible.
Thank you.
While we're doing that, I'll catch you up with my address, which is 100 South Virginia Avenue, Unit 201, Winter Park, Florida.
Thank you.
So as we're getting that up, a little bit of history of this project. This was a project that was annexed from the Orange County. It was accepted as an annexed property by the city of Apopka back in 2008. And the city of Apopka Commission approved a PDP at that point in time. And this schedule is basically taking a look at what was approved back at that point in time versus what you're looking at today. And I want to go, and this is basically an accumulation of comments from the community and the changes that were made between the old and the new plan. Number one, basically the lot yield never changed. It's still 49 lots. Based on discussions with the majority of the landowners along Sandpiper Road, they were interested in keeping the community as close to suburban as possible, which in their estimation, they did not want that stark wall along our side of the property. They wanted a landscape buffer and possibly putting up a tri-rail fence, a wood tri-rail fence, to keep it within the community flavor. We just talked about number 3 along Sandpiper Road. Let's go back to number 2. The brick wall along the southern border. In the original plan, there was a brick wall along the southern border of the property. The original PDP and approval said that the residents that abutted the property to the south, the majority of those would make a decision as to what type of buffer they would like. I had a meeting with those adjacent homeowners probably a month and a half ago, and their final decision was to have that 30-foot conservation easement undisturbed buffer rather than a wall along the property. I don't know if Ms. Nelson is going to speak tonight. Okay. She was one of the cohorts in that meeting and that decision. Number 4, originally there were 3 lots on that 15-acre parcel on the west side of the property. That was a concern of residents along Usler. They were concerned about it flooding and getting into the wetlands, which would never happen. But I decided to pull those 3 lots out of that 15-acre parcel and move them into the major portion of the property and leave that 15 acres as an open area, most likely to be a recreation park, walking path within the uplands in that area. Number 5, the lake lots originally in the original PDP was 9 lots. Now there's only 8. And those would be the only 8 lots that are allowed to have docks into Lake McCoy. The boundary lots along the entire boundary of the property didn't change. They're originally a minimum of 110 feet wide. They're currently 110 feet wide. The minimum, number 7, the minimum lot size originally was 85 by 130 with an 11,000 square foot lot. And we are asking for a minimum 75 by 140, which is a 10,500 square foot lot. And I don't think we actually have a minimum 75 foot lot in here. I think the minimum lot we have is an 80 foot lot. And those are predominantly along the lake lots. Those are the smaller lots. And as David and Mr. Moon said previously, the minimum square footage we're requesting now is 2,000 square feet. So I think I've done a pretty good job, and we're going to find out soon here, of looking at what the community wanted from a standpoint of this community. The big concern was it wasn't going to be any more than 49 lots. We had discussions previously about increasing that, so I'm back to just keeping it at 49, which is basically 1 to the acre. I want to address the wall issue and the fence issue that staff brought up. Again, that was the reason we did not put a wall up along Sandpiper, was to keep the community suburban feel. And that was comments from the existing landowners across the street. The sidewalk issue, the original PDP did not have a sidewalk on it either. The discussion was there'd be a crosswalk across the street because there's an existing sidewalk along that portion of the street. And again, it was brought up by the homeowners that they didn't want two sides of pedestrian traffic along that street, again, to keep it suburban. And that's basically all I have. I'm open for questions, comments.
What's the speed limit on Sandpepper Road?
40.
40. I think there needs to be a time off there.
Okay.
I have a couple of concerns. One is we talk a lot about transitioning from one type of development to another type of development, and there are single-family homes with smaller lots to the south, but across the street to the north, we're talking most of those lots are 2 acres or more across the street, and now we're down to lots that are a third to a half acre, slightly larger than that, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. My biggest concern about the development, I like the idea of the natural setback rather than the wall. However, with lots 4 through 12, there's a little bit of concern that there's going to be the pool screens in the backyard. Perhaps my druthers would be to eliminate those lots, but as an alternative, perhaps we can limit those lots to not having pool screens that are going to affect the people that are right across the street. I'm assuming by this plan that no one will be allowed to have access from their backyard to Sandpiper. That will be prevented, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be an HOA dedicated tract, landscape tract behind those lots.
Okay. Again, if there's not a fence there, what's to stop somebody from cutting a hole in the vegetation and driving their boats or whatever into the backyard? So that, I'm a little mixed on that issue. My other major concern about this area is traffic. The road on Usler from Sandpiper down to Tanglewild, or Hickory Road, actually, Tanglewild, that's the thoroughfare through there, is substandard at best. And people on Sandpiper that don't want to wait at the end of Sandpiper at Park Avenue to get out because they've taken their lives into their own hands down there, go down Tanglewild. And that section from Sandpiper to Tanglewild is not a very good road to travel on. It's not fun. If you go to the north, people on Sandpiper, they go north up Usler or Thompson and then want to go to the west on Welch. At rush hour this time of day, traffic backs up to my subdivision, which is Wekiva Glen, so I'm saying it's close to half a mile. And it's a lot of traffic that's backed up there. And now we're going to add, 400 trips a day to that. I've got some concerns about traffic issues, so I don't know if you can address those or if Jay can address those or what.
I think I'd leave that up to staff. I would say that it's under 50 lot subdivision, and it's a minimal subdivision for the acreage of the property. But I'll leave it up to staff to talk about how traffic can be routed.
Jay, didn't I see in a report that the traffic generation was 400 or 500 vehicles a day?
Yeah, it's under 500.
Yeah.
When you take the ITE standard. They did have a traffic report done by a traffic engineer following the ITE standards. When you consider the distribution of the site, and that 400, that under 500 is daily, you're talking 49 trips during the PM peak hour. When you distribute it this size, and according to the traffic report that was provided, it still falls under the capacity of the road. Maybe not some of what you're speaking of is a congestion issue an operational issue.
Congestion issues are reality.
That's true.
And I know you keep telling me that they're just congestion issues, but that's what we sit in every day.
Capacity-wise, which our code is based off of, they meet the standards.
All right. Anybody else have any questions?
Who maintains that part of, I guess it's Hustler to take a while?
It was originally constructed the way it's constructed by Orange County. Currently, I'm not exactly sure, because since the one piece was annexed, it may be now the city's to maintain. Public Services we'd have to contact them to find out whether the county has turned it over to the city or who is actually maintaining the road right now.
What's the possibility of a traffic light at Sandpiper and Park?
There hasn't been a study done to check it out, and with the offset of the west side, it makes it a little more difficult.
Right.
Because the Sandpiper doesn't line up on the west side.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? All right.
Okay. One
Okay.
last comment.
All right.
I know that the comment was made about the sidewalk extending down Usler. There is no sidewalk down Usler now.
All right.
Is there?
There is. There's a sidewalk all the way on the west side.
Okay, I take it back. Okay.
On the west side of the road, there's a sidewalk.
I rescind my
From
comment.
Sandpiper to
South.
Engelwald.
Okay. All
I
right.
think
All
it
the way.
was.
Concrete sidewalk.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, let's do this in orderly fashion, if you don't mind. Here's what we'll do. I'm going to go down my list as I have them here. Okay, yeah, bring them to me, and we'll get everybody a chance to speak. What I would ask that you do, I'm going to set the timer. We typically give you 4 minutes to speak. I'm not going to enforce that unless you start getting long-winded and start duplicating what other people have said. Then we'll start enforcing the timer, because we don't want to be here all night.
4 minutes?
4 minutes. If you want to come up and talk and add something to what somebody else said, or you agree with what somebody else said and have something to add, just say that, so I agree with what they said, and make a few comments. Don't spend 4 minutes saying the exact same thing somebody else has already said. Just so we know that how you feel, and we'll try to get through this the best we can. Again, if you want to speak and you hadn't already turned one of these in, please do so, and we'll get you up and ready to go. The first one I have is an information request. I'm going to ask Kenneth Sumner if he'll come up and ask what he wants to ask, and we'll see if we can get that addressed. He lives at 432 East Sandpiper.
Yeah, Ken Sumner, 432 East Sandpiper. I didn't really want to be first because I wanted to hear what other people had to say.
Okay, then I'll put you on to the bottom.
Since I'm here, I'll
Okay.
go ahead. At one point in time, I saw a plat that had the northwest corner of Sandpiper and Usler. There was a 300 by 150-foot section marked off there. And I talked with Jay about it at one time, and he said it would have something to do with annexing it into the property.
Originally, when this site was annexed, they had, I think it was 50 by the length of the property, was left out so it wouldn't create an enclave. That has since been annexed, and the county didn't object to that.
So there's no corner cut off there that could potentially be
No,
rezoned for commercial.
correct. There is not.
Now, my primary concern is I can live with the 49 houses as has been described, no development or no egress or ingress on Usler Road. I can live with the rest of it. The problem I have is I have dealt with a number of these kind of people who come in with this sort of proposal, but it's zoned R1 single A. Later down the road, they come back and want R.
Go ahead. Ignore him.
Anyway, they come up with the 49 houses, but R1 single A says 0 to 5 housing.
All right.
They come back later and want to double the size of the lot. And during the 6-year period or 7-year period this has been going on, I have seen plats that had 49, 75, 135, And we fought all of that, but now they've got us beat down, I think, to where most of us will be satisfied with 49 houses and these provisions around the border. But that R1 single A bothers me. I'd like to see it increased to R1 4A.
Well, what's before us today is a PUD, which is the plan unit development.
Or is this plan written in stone to where they can't come back and change it?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to tell you. Whatever is in this document that they've provided, that David mentioned, Exhibit F, that's what they have to do. They can't vary from that, and it's only good for a year or 2 years, and then it expires and it reverts back, and they have to start all over again if they don't do it. So they
Okay.
can't vary from.
At the end of the 2-year period, they could come back and ask for the same R1A with 5 houses to the acre?
They could, whatever the property is zoned currently, yes.
Because see, this is what bothers me. These people have lots of time to wait. They could come back at a later date and say, it's R1A, 0 to 5.
Right.
We want to put 4 houses to the acre.
And they, again, they would have to come back before us and you, do this all over again. So I think time is money for them at this point.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Next one I have is Les Hess at 578 Wekiva Landing Drive. Do you still want to say something, sir? Thank you.
Well, like the other gentleman, I hadn't planned to be first,
Second.
but that's all right. I live just around the corner on Thompson Road, the next road that comes west.
Right.
I live in Wekiva Springs. My lot's bigger than an acre. I bought out there. This Sandpiper was horse country when I
Right.
bought, and was unpaved. It was a dirt road. Now these people have bought up the entire south side of it and want to make it like Misty Woods, which is a slum in the making. If you know where I'm talking about, on Thompson Road, just west of Thompson Road, on the north side of Botaw, is a subdivision built about 5-10 years ago, and it's quite high density, and it's got problems in its future. And now we're talking about putting that on the north side of me. And the essence of my objection is the density. It's just too dense. It's changing the nature of the neighborhood. And it's not just all the cars that we have to wait for. It's hard to get out, try to turn left onto Thompson Road from our subdivision. You have to wait a long time sometimes. And nobody wants stoplights at every corner.
Right.
And there's only 2 ways to handle it, is stoplights, or wait forever, or just don't approve such density to begin with. This is beautiful country. I mean, you know what we're talking about. There's hawks, there's sandhill cranes, there's all sorts of critters out there. Every once in a while I see a swallowtail kite or an eagle. I mean, this is nice country. And as it becomes more and more dense, it becomes less and less of the beautiful place that we moved into. And so I'm objecting, as I have for a long time, to 49 houses. I think it ought to be fewer than that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next one I have is Jill Cooper at 954 Oak Point Circle.
I'm Jill Cooper. Yes, I live at 954 Oak Point Circle on Lake McCoy. My backyard abuts the property being developed. The City of Apopka Comprehensive Plan 2030 notes that many residents consider the small town atmosphere of Apopka its most attractive quality. And I would agree. I moved here 30 years ago because I liked the rural community and the beauty of the Wekiva River Basin area. And I no longer wanted to live in the cookie-cutter communities like Misty Woods. So while you determine the appropriate zoning, please consider ways to ensure that this new development remains consistent with the character of the land and the existing neighborhoods, all of which are currently a half-acre or larger. Please require a thoughtful plan for the new neighborhood one that leaves all retention ponds naturally sloped and unfenced and lined with a product like Golden Gold to remove the nitrogen runoff to protect Lake McCoy, that uses a minimum use of the solid brick walls as discussed, but provides wider setbacks than currently proposed to allow for the mature trees. The requested zoning of R1A PUD is a much higher density than the neighborhoods immediately to the north or to the south. The ones to the south are half-acre minimum, that's the neighborhood that I live in, or to the east, or to the west. These are all zoned half-acre or larger, and as you mentioned, many are 2-acre and 5-acre and larger. And our AAA zoning seems like it would be more consistent with the neighborhood. Growth in Apopka can be achieved through profitable development while also considering the existing homeowners and the Wekiva River Basin area, which is just a unique area. Please protect the small town rural character of Apopka that so many of us have grown to love.
Thank you. All right, Alex Toledo, sir. And if you'll give us your address, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. Alex Toledo, 504 Sir Arthur Court, right on Lake McCoy. And I've got 4 minutes here, so I'll try to be brief. First of all, I want to thank you for the thoughtful questions that you've posed. It sort of restores my faith in local government that you guys are thinking about us, and I thank you for that. I want to say, I'm originally from Miami. I've been up here about 7 years, and I would ask that you consider me an agent of the future in listening to me, because what is being proposed here today does have the markings of what I ran away from. So I would encourage you to think about that. I have 3 kids, as you can see behind me, and my kids have sold chocolate to a lot of the people in this gathering here today, but my newest one is 2 months old. And I really would like to preserve the integrity of this area and the beauty of this area. Every morning when we wake up, I look outside and I tend to look for things that are new that I have not seen before. I've asked my kids to draw up a list of different wildlife that they've seen since we've been up here. Some of the stuff that we've seen: turkeys, bears, foxes, coyotes, in pictures only, gopher tortoises, bobcats, snakes, raccoons, alligators, eagles. This is a jewel in the center of what is a town. It's unheard of almost. And a lot of the people, that even live in Apopka have no idea what we have back there. And it's all threatened, I think, by this planned urban development. And, I had a couple of concerns about coming out here. Number one is, I didn't want to seem to be, sort of imposing or threatening the developer's investment. But when I looked at what the developer actually paid for this 55 acres, there's no concern whatsoever about him losing money on this investment based on the 7 parcels. According to the documentary stamp taxes that were paid on this property, on the 10 parcels, it's $400,000 that was paid for 55 acres of property. If he turns around and builds on each of those parcels, a mansion, he's going to get his money back. So that concern has sort of gone away for me. The other thing is, I really believe that you guys are sort of our last defense. If you guys approve this, it's going to change the way of life for us presently. It's going to change the way of life for my kids back there. And I really do believe that they have an appreciation for the area that we live in. And they're here tonight not because I forced them to be here, but they really do have an appreciation of the outdoors in our community. And I hope that you guys will take that into consideration when you make your decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like just to comment on what he said, and I'd like to maintain the wildlife that he described, although sometimes it can be a nuisance. I had a bear in my garage last night. But I choose to live where I live, and that's just a fact of life. And I understand what you're saying, and hopefully this development will do that, and we'll talk a little bit more about it as we get some more comments. But thank you for your comments, sir. All right, Jack Cooper, 954 Oak Point Circle.
Wait a minute.
Good afternoon. My name is Jack Cooper. My property adjoins the subject property. I live across from Lake Coy from that property. I'm going to have to look at whatever you guys approve for this site. The surrounding community, including a group of people called Friends of Sandpiper, has been opposed to the overdevelopment of this property since 2006 when they were in unincorporated Orange County. At that time, Mayor Jacobs, then Councilwoman Jacobs, said that at the Board of County review that the maximum number of lots could be less depending on the tree survey. They approved it for 49. She says it may be less when the tree survey comes back. The lot sizes they are proposing are too small, and they're not comparable or compatible to the surrounding area. My neighborhood is half-acre lots. Lots across from the proposed Sandpiper on the north side are several acres. One I know is 10 acres. According to the drawings submitted, the actual lot size on the majority of these lots are like 0.23 acres when you look buildable lots. That's less than a quarter of an acre. With lots this small, people will be parking on the street, which is also a hot topic in the city of Apopka. This area is not some cow pasture on Pumpkin Road with no trees, where there isn't many trees and they can just cut down what they want and pay into a tree fund. It's not, we all know what Sandpiper is. The plan submitted, which shows trees to be removed, also shows trees being left within the footprint of the proposed housing. And I know on the plat, if you zoom in on the computer, you can see some trees like inside the outline of the houses that don't have X's on them. So I don't know what that means, or I don't know if somebody can fit a 2,000 square foot house on a quarter acre buildable lot and then still make it fit. I don't think that can happen. So they're prepping the land to resell it to a national company. That's what they do. What would prevent a national company from coming in and cutting down the remaining trees and then just paying a penalty? We can't let this happen. There'll be very little tree canopy left due to these lot sizes and what's buildable right now. And you can see, this is the area here. This is the whole area, what's there now. You overlay what they're proposing, you don't have much left. By requiring the zone to be at least R1 AAA or preferably R1 4A, which is an Orange County zoning of half acre, would preserve the look and feel of Sandpiper as you drive down the road, and for the residents who abut the property, it would be more comparable and compatible to the surrounding area. And we've asked a lot, I think everybody in here is for this one or they would have left, but I'd like to see a show of hands of everybody here that's really concerned about this development. We've asked people to wear red shirts. Some people didn't own a red shirt, but this is how many people you've got in here that are really concerned. They may not all want to speak, but we asked them to show up and show support. Also, I have, and I can present, a list of 85 signatures of Apopka residents to you. They represent homeowners that surround the proposed development of Sandpiper and Usler. Each person signed this petition because of their strong objection to the new zoning being requested. Each homeowner is asking consideration be given to the consistency of the housing developments that surround the Sandpiper project. The overwhelming majority of houses nearby are on much larger lots. The proposed zoning change will allow, in some cases, two-story homes to abut the backyard of existing homes where they can peer down on them. Residents of the Wekiva River Basin area purposely moved here because of the rural setting, the beauty of the trees, the land, the wildlife, and the peace and quiet. There are plenty of neighborhoods with small lots for new homers to choose from, but the area between Sweetwater and Apopka, just south of the Wekiva River, is a unique landscape of live oak, some 44 inches in diameter, water oak, sweet gum trees, inhabited by all kinds of wildlife. I also have the results of an online survey we did a while back. I have 54 respondents, several questions. We're overwhelmingly concerned about the development and think that the tree survey should be a determining factor in the size of the lots and the layout. The developer has a right to build on the property, but does not have the right to build anything he wants. The community also has rights. The 85 homeowners and 54 respondents listed on this petition and survey believe the Apopka Planning and Zoning Board has a responsibility to consider the surrounding character of the land and existing neighborhoods and require an Orange County PUD of R4A, which is half-acre lots for this new development. Please protect our beautiful community for current and future residents. Thank you for your time, and I'll try to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. If you'll turn that in to the clerk, your petition, so we
Sure.
can have that for the record. Appreciate it.
And one last thing, this, what everybody talked about, that's Misty Woods.
Right. This is not that. All right, thank you. All right, Anastasia Durden. Hi.
My name's Anastasia Durden, and I live at 948 Oak Point Circle in Apopka. I oversee and look over the property that you're going to be developing, or he's going to be developing. Our neighborhood is a jewel in itself just because of the landscape, and I would like you to be extra sensitive to the surrounding landscape and preserve of the Lake McCoy and mimicking what exists already. I live on 2 acres. My home is a total of 4,042 square feet. My home is primarily one of the more smaller homes in our neighborhood, so when you think of the homes that he's proposing in his development, I would like you to think about my home looking at their home across from my lake. The other concern I have is because 49 homes would be in this development, there is not just going to be 49 times 2 people living there. You're going to have people visiting them. We already have a problem with the nuisance of people who don't live on our lake who are coming from that property and taking boats and entering our property and actually fishing right next to our dock and pier, and I have to run them off constantly. Our lake is super clean. You can walk out to my dock and pier and look down and see hundreds, I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of fish. And, at least 10 turtles swim up to my dock every day. I get up in the morning. I am able to pick out at least 20 different species of birds when I drink my hot tea. So, yes, I would concur with all the other neighbors and would like you to be extra sensitive to deciding the development of the land across from my lake.
Thank you. All right, Jenny McGee.
Hi, I'm Jenny, and this is my husband David. We live at 609 Oak Point Ridge Court. I work in downtown Orlando. My husband works in Lake Mary. I would venture to say most of our neighborhood, we don't work around Apopka. We purposely sought this area out and drive a long way on our commute because we love this area. We border the southern edge, and of all the neighbors, because I know them all, they're going to be impacted by this neighborhood for sure, but we really are. Our fence, where the backyard of that proposed house would be, it would start about where you sit from where I stand. We're very, very close, our lot. Again, I will just repeat a little of what has been said because we feel it so passionately, that we don't want the character of what Thompson, of what Sandpiper, of what that area feels like. We don't think we're asking for too much. I think why the neighbors have been as agreeable to 49 lots is not because we want 49 lots. It's because it's been approached that it could be upwards of 100 lots. And, when you divide it in half, you think, okay, I'll go for that. Because 100 lots is dreadful. But I have worries. I'm thankful for the green space because that will help our view a little bit. But I do worry about what is to prevent anybody from just walking back right into our property. It's very easy to do so. There's just a flimsy fence. Traffic. I can sit in my backyard on my porch now, and many, many nights, it's beautiful back there. There's so much wildlife, like everyone said, but I can hear motorcycles, and I know the neighbors can attest to this. We hear drag racing of some sort or motorcycle racing up and down Sandpiper very frequently. I'm not talking about a couple times a year. I'm talking about 2 or 3 times a week. It worries me when you put, in a modern day community, like for us, we have 5 cars with our family. You put 49 houses, you could be putting a couple hundred cars on the road. The traffic on Thompson even, just to take a left to get out. A lot of that Sandpiper, they're going to come up Thompson to go the different routes out. It is a real safety issue. It's a real quality of life issue. We just want, and I especially want some assurance that the lots in the back that do border that southern edge, that do impact the neighbors where you're looking, their pool, I could probably hear their conversation in their pool if on the lots that will be back up against me. That they are going to be some of the deeper, bigger lots, and that it won't get somehow changed in the proposal. And again, like I say, we really would like larger, more comparable lots. People will pay to come out. They'll pay to come out to the beauty of Sandpiper. And the poor people that live across the street, that live on many, many acres, they're going to have to contend with a typical small lotted neighborhood, and it just isn't fair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Catherine Yeomans.
Hi, my name is Catherine Humans, and I live on 1122 Oak Point Circle. I am on the lake. I'll be brief. Most of what everyone has said, I couldn't agree with more. I moved into this neighborhood about 8 or 9 years ago to move out of a neighborhood where there was going to be development in my backyard. I was hoping, to have established homes, which we had, and that that nothing was going to change. But obviously those 10 lots with the 4 or 5 homes are now abandoned. You can see them now and walk, and they're being sold out for 49 homes. And I'm just mostly against the R1A. I just think that's too small. Our neighborhood isn't that way. I hope that you disagree with that and stay at least AAA or quadruple A. My lot is nearly an acre, and I have live oaks one just fell the other day, and it was about 300 years old. And I'm sure that this lot on Sandpiper are going to have a lot of old trees, and at least if there's a tree survey, that would be great. But to have these type of homes, 2,000 square feet in less than a quarter acre, the trees aren't going to stay. They're just not. And that's just going to be such a disappointment. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cooper.
Mike Cooper, 464 Songbird, Apopka. I hear everybody, and I'm all for you. My thing is a couple of different things here. I feel that the lots, the houses, and so on should be consistent with the developments which are in and around the same area. They're 2,000 square foot. It's not going to be consistent. The houses in Oakwater are nice, large houses. The houses on Usler are nice, large houses. To put in a 2,000 square foot house on a 10,000 square foot lot is going to be just miserable. The type of people that come in and buy a 2,000 square foot house, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything about because they can't afford it. I'm just telling you that, what you're going to get is not the ideal people that are going to be consistent with what's in the neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods. So I think the minimum size house should be somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 square feet. I have land over on the lake, which we're getting ready to start building on. Those houses are 4,000 square feet, and the land is an acre each of buildable property. The sidewalk and the fence needs to go in. If you've got kids out there, especially in a 2,000 square foot house, you're going to have multiple kids in there. These kids are going to run out onto the street, and guess what? They're going to get run over because there's no protection there. When the kids go to school, there's no sidewalk. They're going to have to cross Sandpiper to get on the other side to get onto a sidewalk. So they're going to be hustled. They're not going down to a crosswalk. They're going to go the easiest way. So instead of having a sidewalk on both sides of the street, now you only got it one side, and it happens to be on the north side. They need to be sidewalk and fence the entire length of this property. Without a doubt, if you guys okay that, you're opening yourself up to major liability issues. Somebody gets killed because you don't have a fence up there, or something along the lines, you're all going to be in trouble because somebody's going to have a lawsuit against you. And they will say, why didn't you be consistent with other neighborhoods in the city of Apopka? Go out to Leicester and that area out there. You guys got brick walls. You got fences, decorative fences. Make him put up a decorative fence. I'm a developer. I got to do it. And I abide by it. And the laws are laws, and I do what to say. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Mary Swarberg.
Hi, I'm Mary Schwarberg, and my husband, Bo. We're here. We live at 519 Sir Arthur Court. Our property would butt up against what now is wetlands. My husband and I moved here just under 2 years ago, and we moved here for several reasons, three of which are the beauty, the small town, this great feeling of Apopka. We don't work here in Apopka like some others. You know, we work downtown, but we decided that this is where we wanted to live, in a small town area. The other reason is the trees. We looked for these trees, and we are so happy to find them. And then the third reason is the toll road. We wouldn't be here without it. There's going to be more of us coming. We're going to be able to afford larger homes on larger properties, and they'll come, believe me. So we just want to represent that we're part of that, of what's coming. And please consider those trees, consider the lot, the size of the lot. We took a 1973 home, we gutted it. We put more money into it than we should have. And we plan, if the area stays the same, adding on and making it larger. So we're going to change what is here today, if you allow that to happen, if you keep Apopka. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Lillian Myers.
Hi, thank you, Commissioners. My name is Lillian Myers. I live at 849 Ustler Road, and my property I have two lots there, combined just under 4 acres. That's 3 properties north of the intersection of Sandpiper and Ustler, and unfortunately, because I don't live 300 feet around this subdivision, proposed subdivision, I wasn't given any notice of changes, so I relied on to just happen to notice the small street signs, jumped out and took a picture before the rain washed them away.
Good for you.
And did let some of my other neighbors know too. So, Jack, Jill, Les, guys, we're all back again 8 years later. This is, it's been quite a long time, and while I'm not opposed to a subdivision happening there today, in fact, I think a subdivision is probably an improvement on the blight that's overcome that property since it was stopped in 2007. The development work that we did at that time to try to get the county and the city of Apopka to understand clearly what we wanted to see there as a reflection of what exists in our neighborhood is still quite important. Rail fence, something that looks like what Foxborough Farms has on the south side of Welch Road near Thompson. Those kinds of developments, things that matter in the keeping with the consistency of the community is really what it's all about. So I just want to support all the things that have been said. But my most important and most significant concern today is about traffic. We listen to crashes at the corner of Sandpiper and Ustler weekly. And it's almost impossible to get out of our own driveways today, just because it's a cut-through for traffic. And that intersection there, by the way, as far as the sidewalk is concerned, when MI Homes put in the subdivision across the road from me, way back in 2001 or something like that, we had a big fight about the sidewalk, and the sidewalk ended up being on our side of the road instead of their side of the road. And the problem there is that pedestrians now have to walk across the heavily trafficked Usler just to connect to a sidewalk across the street. So there does need to be a sidewalk in order to prevent that from happening with the traffic issues that there are. So I would absolutely request that there be another traffic study done at that corner specifically to assure that we don't have continued accidents, and the request that I have is for a four-way stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelley Gerard.
Hello, I'm Shelley Gerard, and I live at 924 Oak Point Circle. Much like Jenny described, I wondered if I could show you guys a picture. If you can ignore the kids, this is my backyard, and you can see all those beautiful trees that are there. And I actually think I might be one of the youngest people here. I'm actually quite excited about the idea of a neighborhood, but I have the same concerns that all the neighbors share about the lot size. You mentioned that a lot of the homes in that area are bigger. My lot is right on the back of that, and we're almost a full acre lot. And my house is 2,500 square feet. So if we were to build homes, I would love to have homes that would increase the value of my home. Much like the other neighbors, I live in Lake Mary and drive 30 minutes every day to come back and forth to work because it's absolutely beautiful. And one wildlife I failed to mention was you often see wild peacocks, which are really cool too. So I think if we could do the tree survey and maybe leave some more of the trees, that would be really cool. And the traffic concerns me as well. When I try to turn right out of my house onto Thompson Road, it often takes 3 or 4 minutes before you can even turn in the morning when you're coming out. So adding all those additional homes and traffic is going to increase that reality, as you mentioned. So that's it. Sorry,
That's
enough, but
fine. Thank you.
get the point.
Thank you very much. Ellen O'Connor.
Hi, I'm Ellen O'Connor. I live at 1032 Oak Point Circle in the Oakwater Estates. I do echo so much of what my neighbors have said. I moved up from South Florida also, from Fort Lauderdale. I've lived there my whole life, and I saw all the growth and construction that occurred in Broward County. My husband is moving here from LA, and if you've been to LA, you know what the growth is like there. We researched the type of environment that we wanted to raise our children in, and I have a 3-year-old son who is going to be going to schools here in Apopka. And we, of everywhere in Orange County, we wanted to live in Apopka, and we picked this neighborhood because of the beautiful trees and the environment. We live on Lake McCoy. We have an 1.5 acre property. It's a 3,500 square foot house, and I plan on living there until I retire, or to go on to my next part of my life. But we want you're our neighbors also, we want you to protect this community that we live in. And part of that is making sure that development is consistent with the neighborhoods around it. What is being proposed is not consistent with our neighborhood and the neighborhoods in the area. So I'd ask you to really consider that, because you're protecting the future of our community, and we appeal to you to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Christian, and I can't see the last name, Botern. Oh, you good? Okay, thank you. And last but not least, I think, is Lou Hobner. Lou here? Yep.
I was going to defer, Mr. Arnold. I've got a couple things to say.
All right. Knew you would.
I'm Lou Hobner, 140 East First Street, Apopka.
I don't know a whole lot about real estate. I've only been here for 43 years. And you know where I live. And we absolutely enjoy our neighborhood. All my neighbors are back there. I developed that property for the King family. And we could have gone to R1 and had bigger lots. But I said, no, we want at least 2-acre lots. And we live on Usler Road, Tanglewild. And Michael lives on Usler, which is one of the lots the King family's property was on. You know, they used to own everything from Usler to Park Avenue. And so we decided to go with 2.5-acre lots. And I can't imagine the type of neighborhood we're going to have if we have 10,000 square foot lots and 2,000 square foot homes. I think we're creating something that we don't want. My wife answers the phone at the office, and she can tell you that if we get 10 calls a week, what are people calling for in Apopka? Do you have a house on an acre lot? Do you have a house on a 2-acre lot? They don't call and say, do you have a 4,000 square foot house on a little lot so I don't have to mow the grass anymore? So we have a first-hand view of what people want in Apopka. And so we need to protect our neighborhood. And I just feel like it's time to set some rules, make some decisions, and do the right thing for our neighborhoods in the city of Apopka. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's all the notice of intent to speak cards that I have. Is anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I had a few minutes left on my talk.
Go ahead.
I'd like to address the issue that was brought up about what I refer to as the no-man road. That's the section of road that runs from Sandpiper to Tanglewild, labeled Usler. Well, to me, it's a no-man's road.
I hear you.
Because I have gone round and around with Commissioner Brunner on a number of occasions trying to get some of those potholes filled up. I have been kidded by my neighbors who see me out there with bags of ready-made asphalt, plugging up the holes myself. Brummer says it's not the counties, and the city says it's not the cities. Who do it belong to?
You.
It must be, because if you drive down there, all of those black spots that are blacker than the rest of the road, at $8.50 a bag, that's me.
Oh, thank you very much. My motorcycle appreciates that a lot. All right, does anybody else want to speak? We're going to be very informal here. Diane and Mary. Mary, why don't you come over here and sit close so you can get up. Yeah, go ahead. Diane, let her say something first.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Anastasia.
My name's Anastasia Durden, and I live at 948 Oak Point Circle. Okay. Just want to reiterate that the property value alone for us has been very depressing. And to add another neighborhood with many homes, small lots, which you have plenty of in Apopka, is not going to help any real estate in our area. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
Thank you. All right, Diane.
My name is Diane Harmon, and I live at 1041 Sandpiper Street. And I just wanted to make sure I had an opportunity to say something on behalf of Sandpiper, because I don't think anybody has spoken that lived on that road. And my husband and I chose to move to Apopka and build our home there about 38 years ago. And we have lived there the whole time, raised our whole family, have grandchildren. And we loved it from the very beginning, the pastoral atmosphere, and we still love it. There's sometimes we don't like the paved road. I'd like to go back to the the unpaved road, just to reduce the amount of traffic on it. But I would just ask that you would, I'm in agreement with everything that's been said as far as the consistency with the surrounding areas. We have 1.72 acres, and the properties around us, of course, do have pretty much the same or more than that on the north side of Sandpiper, and would love to be able to see this be a thing consistent. I would like to see it developed, because I think right now it's becoming a negative to the community and the surroundings as far as its appearance. So development is fine. Just would like to see lesser density, larger homes, larger lots, and a beautiful pastoral surrounding. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary?
My name is Mary Smothers, 1005 East Sandpiper Street. My husband and I bought our property in the early 70s, 2 acres across the street from this development. We had 4 children when we built our house over 37 years ago. Then we added a 5th child. So our children grew up there. My concerns are, many of them have already been stated, the traffic. If the traffic goes towards Thompson Road, turning right's already a challenge. Turning left, sometimes impossible. At certain times of the day is very hard, mostly because people won't signal that they're going to turn left onto Sandpiper until they're there. And then they turn immediately. But then you have to wait for all those other cars to go by. If you go down towards Park, like Mr. Hook said, most of us don't go to Park anymore. We go to Tango Wild. And we go through that no man's street there, no man's land, with all the potholes. Thank you for filling those holes, sir. But we'd rather not go through that area, but we can go to the traffic light there as well as be able to turn and not wait forever to turn onto Park. If you go Usler and go over to Welch, again, Mr. Hook said, boy, try to get out there. If you're not turning right and turning left at certain times of the day is just, again, impossible. So any direction you go, you're going to have a hard time if you have to turn left anywhere. The children crossing to the other side of the street to get to the sidewalk, a crosswalk was mentioned. That's good, but children are children. They're going to take the shortest route. If their backyard is closer to Sandpiper than that crosswalk, they're going to go to the shortest place across the road, and it is dangerous. Like someone said with the motorcycles, the cars, the trucks, there's a no passing zone all the way up and down Sandpiper right now. As soon as they turn onto Sandpiper, they start passing fast. Try to get into your driveway or out of your driveway with that traffic coming as fast as they can. Another concern that has not been mentioned, the smaller the home, the more quickly people will move up to a larger home in the future. And as you get into 2nd owner, 3rd owner, 4th owner, the quality and the upkeep of that home goes down, down, down rapidly. Your starter home is usually kept up for the 1st owner. After that, you generally don't have a good maintenance with the secondary, 3rd owners and stuff. And that's a concern. Again, a very good reason to get larger lots, larger homes. And I think everything else has been stated. A traffic light at either end of Sandpiper might be a possibility someday, but none of us want more traffic lights, really. But we have to be able to get out safely, not have more accidents.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, last call. Anybody else? All right. Mr. Goldberg, where'd you go? You got some splaining to do. Come back up here, and unfortunately for you, I did not hear anybody agree with your assessment of what they said they wanted. They must have told you something different than what they told us just now.
Well, that's definitely not true, because I have a letter from the 2 homeowners associations on the south side of the property agreeing to the 30-foot buffer. I don't have it with me, but the city has it.
I think I'm more concerned about the size of the lots and the number of the lots and the size of the homes. That's the 3 biggest issues that I heard, is it's too dense, which leads to too many trees being taken out, too much traffic, and smaller homes not lending to increasing their property values. That's what I take away from the comments.
I can appreciate what the homeowners have and what they have lived with, and it's wonderful that they can afford big lots and big houses. But not many people can afford those size houses and lots.
I agree with that, but you've chosen the wrong place to put them.
I've set aside 15 acres of land that's not going to be touched. I've agreed with a 30-foot buffer along the south side of the property that's not going to be touched. I think I've done a pretty good job of laying out where we're going to save trees and how we're going to save trees. And the reason I bought the property was because of the trees. And I have no interest in taking them down if they don't have to come down.
I agree with that, but the 15 acres, you didn't have much choice in that matter. That wasn't something you decided to do. And the trees are not something you're able to keep if you place a home where a tree is, and that's just part of the nature of developing a project. I understand that, but smaller lots lead to more trees being removed, and that was one of the concerns that I heard.
I understand I'm fighting an uphill, but this is a property where it's 1 per acre.
Actually, it's not 1 per acre, because when you take out the roads and the retention ponds, everybody throws that out there. It's 1 dwelling unit per acre. Yeah, okay. It's not 1 acre lots. That's misleading. So the lots are a third acre to 0.6 or 7.6. I think I saw 1 or 2.6, but that's about the extent of it. They're, as people have said, quarter acre to third acre lots primarily.
I mean, it's obvious that you have made your decision, and I don't know what the rest of the county's council has made a decision on, so I'd like to hear that discussion.
Okay.
And maybe come back and say a few words at the end.
Sure. All right, we're going to close the public hearing. Let me explain the process for everybody here. We're only, in this case, a recommending board. Somebody mentioned early on that we were the last defense. We're not. That's the city council. We're going to recommend something to city council, either to approve this project as it's been presented to us tonight, to deny this project, to disapprove it. That would be our recommendation to city council, or to make a recommendation to approve it with this as part of the approval process. City council does not have to do anything we say. Y'all voted a man, those of you that live in the city of Apopka, and they can do whatever they please, regardless of what we recommend. So we're not the last offense, we're really the first offense. So you've got to do this all over again with these little pieces of paper in front of city council whenever it comes to them. All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing. We're going to talk about it as a board, see what the pleasure here is, what the discussion here is. You heard my opinion, my feelings about it, so I'm open to whoever wants to talk.
Mr. Chairman, it seemed like we got so many things here that's going to need to be addressed. I took some notes on some things pertaining to what was brought out about the fence, the sidewalks, the setbacks. The area that you made mention to where in the back of property where possibly, that buffer area where people can actually torn down, they can just basically start using it for a driveway. And we know the nature of people, most of the time they'll take advantage of those situations within time. My thoughts and feelings on this particular issue is that there's a lot of things in here that need to be revamped. I don't know what direction we would go in, but I just see a whole lot of things that need to be totally redone.
Okay. Jim?
I think we're really talking something that's out of character with the neighborhood. We're talking density. I don't see that it would be feasible to try to establish conditions that would meet that. My inclination would be to recommend that it not be approved and let the city council do what they want to do, or let them go back to the drawing boards.
Anybody else?
I grew up in this town. I partied every July 4th out there on that property. Pig roast.
change is coming. Personally, I don't like what's happened to Apopka, but I can't stop that because we have developable land. One lady pointed out that we have more people coming, and I would love for the developer to get with some marketer and find out what really is needed with those people that are going to come to Apopka. Maybe we need larger lot sizes. Have you even entertained that idea of doing a more upscale neighborhood in that particular area, which suits that area? It hurts me to see that that property would ever be developed, but it's going to be. And I think that you're going to have to come to some kind of I guess you're going to have to reconcile that it's coming and work with whoever's there. And I think you've done that. I think what the developer has done as far as the 30-foot buffer and the city not requiring anybody to build a pool or any recreation in that 30-foot buffer helps those that are abutting the property. But I just would like to see the developer maybe do some more market study as to what can be built and what the demand is in the area.
Okay. Anybody else? I don't think I heard anybody object to a development in that area. Might not be their druthers, but I don't think I heard anybody specifically say we don't want anything there. I think the message is pretty loud and clear to me. They don't want 49 lots there. Maybe something half that. Is what I'm hearing tonight. So based on that, we need a recommendation to City Council from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and again, that can be either to recommend approval of the plan that's been presented to us, a change of zoning master plan, preliminary development plan from county PD to city PUD/R1A, or we can recommend that City Council not approve it, or we can recommend approval with conditions or some recommendations in the plan in the Exhibit F. So what is the pleasure of the commission?
I would make a motion that we recommend that the council not approve.
All right, there's a motion that the Planning Commission recommend to City Council that we recommend not approving this particular plan as it's been presented. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Melvin. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. And any opposed? And that motion carries. All right, understand, those of you that are here, the developer can proceed with this plan to City Council, so you'll have to be vigilant about that. The City Council, as I said, does not have to take our recommendation. That's our recommendation to City Council, so it can continue to move forward, and so you need to make sure you're at the City Council with as much enthusiasm and the patience and consideration and courtesy that you've shown here tonight, and I appreciate that very much from everybody from all parties. It's been very pleasant tonight. We've had meetings that have not been as pleasant, so I thank you very much for how you've conducted yourselves tonight, and I thank you for your interest and participation tonight. All right, is there any old business, any new business for the commission? Then we would be adjourned. Thank you again.